The elevator opened on the 12th floor and nobody came out. I moved into 12B because rent was cheap and the view was decent. The building is old, wiring clicks, carpet smells like coffee. First week was fine, quiet in the way old places are. Then Mrs. Hahn from 12F started making a fuss. "It opens on 12 and no one gets off," she said. The superintendent checked the cameras. Tape showed the doors sliding, nothing in the shaft. He shrugged and wrote a note. The elevator began stopping at odd times. It would pause and the doors would slide open to a dim little hallway no one on the mailroom map had. I rode up once and saw wallpaper the color of old bruises. The light was low, like a bulb ready to die. I stepped out. I know, dumb. The frame on the wall held a family photo I didn't know. The baby had a crooked smile. When the doors snapped shut behind me, my phone lost service. No bars. For exactly 17 minutes, I had nothing. I watched the clock blind until the signal came back. Maintenance pulled old footage. They found me on tape, leaving 12B at 3:33 a.m., walking into that hallway over and over. I don't remember. Watching myself on the screen felt like looking at someone else. Neighbors started telling stories. The kid from 8C woke up on the stair landing once. His sneakers were by the laundry room, though he remembered his bed. Mrs. Hahn found herself awake in the lobby like she had been waiting for a bus. No one could explain it. The old super rummaged out a ledger. I saw an entry. 12, sealed after fire. Names crossed out, dates in a shaky hand. He tapped the paper like it was fragile and alive. Things escalated. People who stood near the elevator too long began to speak addresses that don't exist. Mrs. Patel whispered, 14 Ashby Lane, like reciting a grocery list. Her voice sounded like someone else. A man at the lift asked where they kept the blue key, and then wandered off talking to his hands. I started watching the doors at night. I'd make coffee at midnight and sit on the floor facing the shaft. At 3:30, the motor would hum down low. The light would flick, and the doors would open to that bruise hall again. I wanted to shout. I wanted to run. Once I walked into that hallway with my hands shaking. It smelled of old paper and damp plaster. The frame on the wall was crooked. A small table held a bowl of pennies and a note in a looping hand. "Do not forget us." I felt stupid holding my phone like a talisman, and then it went dead in my pocket. The seconds on my watch stuttered. Whispering came from behind the walls like dry fingers on paper. I went back to the elevator. The doors closed too slow, like an eyelid. Inside, the panel blinked, but the buttons didn't register 12B. When the doors opened again, I was in front of my own door. My apartment smelled of burnt toast. I had not burned anything. We watched the footage at the desk. There I was at 3:33 a.m., leaving my apartment. The camera cut out for 17 minutes. No reason. The superintendent swore he saw nothing, then put his head down. Small things changed me. I would say names I didn't know. I woke once on the couch facing the building with my shoes on, though I thought I slept in bed. My roommate said I hummed a song at 2 a.m. I stopped drinking coffee late because I wanted to be awake. Mrs. Hahn called for an inspection. She watched the tape and pointed at a child in a dark coat, stepping from the elevator. The child walked into the dark and vanished. Only small footprints remained, leading nowhere. They hired a crew. Old men pulled up carpet by the lift. Behind a panel, they found a burned edge and a strip of wallpaper, the same bruise color, like someone had tried to hide a small fire. People started to avoid the lobby. Delivery guys said radios cut out near the elevator and their dogs refused to cross the threshold. Someone found a note slipped under a door that read, "Only remember." I kept a copy in my pocket for a week, like it was proof I wasn't making this up. At the board meeting, people fought. I stood up and my hands shook. I said we need more light, better cameras, a lock on the maintenance gate. Someone laughed that we sounded like believers, but the tapes all had odd gaps at 3:33 a.m. The number kept showing up like a broken clock. We taped notes to doors. Leave light on. Home. It felt silly and also necessary. I slept with a t-shirt I liked so I would wake to a familiar smell. The hum of the elevator haunted my dreams. Neighbors changed in small ways. An old woman in the laundry began reciting a list of names and stopped when she saw me. A man with a cane told me, "Sometimes it calls." He tapped the floor in time with the motor and smiled like a man who keeps a secret too long. I moved out after the hearing. The building board promised repairs, new wiring, a contractor. Papers were signed. People nodded like boxes had been checked. But the ledger stays in my head. Names crossed, dates peeled. It feels like a door someone shut and then forgot to lock. One small thing I kept private. I went back after the board promised repairs. The lobby was cleaner. New bulbs put a white glare in the hall. I asked the superintendent about the ledger. He let me touch it for a moment. The ink looked rubbed, names blurred like someone had gone over them with a thumb. I stood by the elevator and pressed my ear to the metal, thinking listening might tell me something. There was a low hum like a held note under the building. For a second, I thought I heard a child's laugh down the shaft. Maybe it was a truck, maybe not. I walked away but kept glancing back. A contractor waved and said, "It's fixed." His voice was thin. I told a neighbor I had gone back. He nodded and said he dreamt of bruise-colored wallpaper. I'm not brave. I can't explain it. I only know small acts help. Leave a light on, say a name out loud, hold a memory. Sometimes that is enough to calm a place for a night. Sometimes when I lie in another bedroom, I hear a low hum in the house, not my building, and my throat tightens. 17 is a number I think about when I can't sleep. It sounds small and mean when you say it in the dark. I can't explain what the elevator opened to. Maybe an old floor insists on being remembered. Maybe memory can leak into machinery. All I know is the doors open sometimes and the building keeps reaching back. If you ever ride in an elevator that stops between floors and the doors open to nothing, don't step out for long. If a neighbor recites an address you don't know, say it back. Maybe remembering is what they want. Maybe it's all that's left to give.